So the key things we need is some kitchen roll to make sure that we can get all the excess or all the extra water off our brushes. We need a few different brushes if you've got them. Big one for the background and some thinner ones for our characters. Some water. So I've got a big pot of water with some of my brushes in. As I said earlier, Bella's going to be using the palette paint, so she's going to show you how to use those, or the watercolour. She's just going, am I? And I'm going to be using acrylic, which is this sort of paint, so like poury paint, squidgy paint. And if you've got either acrylic or poster paint at home, so anything that's squeezy, then I'll show you how to do that, and Bella will show you how to do the palette paint or the watercolours. Okay, so we're going to start off with the background. I always start off with the biggest bits first, because then if you smudge anything or anything like that, it's easier to kind of paint over the background rather than do lots of detail and then get lots of blue all over the bits you've just done there. So we're going to start off with a blue background. Now, if you ever work with acrylic, it dries very, very quickly. So I've poured out some paint already, but I've put some tin foil on top to stop it drying up. So that's a little tip for you. If you've been painting and you've got some left over and you don't want to waste it, if you put a bit of tin foil on, then that will stop it from going dry for about 24 hours. So I put some yellow, I've got some blue, got some red, some green. I'm going to add some white on as well. If you've got acrylic or poster paint, you don't need to add much water at all. The more water that you add, the thinner the colour will be, so the lighter the colour will be. If you literally just put your brush in the paint, it'll be really dark and the colour that it looks like here on the plate. With watercolours or palette paints like these, it will always look more see-through, more the colour will be what we call diluted, so not as bright as this colour. So they're some of the differences. The other thing is with the acrylics, they do, as I said, they dry very, very quickly, so you have to work quite fast. Okay, so I'm going to add some white on, bit of a squirt there. Bella's getting her brushes ready as well. So if you've got the biggest brush that you have got, obviously the bigger the brush, the quicker it will be. I'm going to get one that's not too huge. Make sure it's nice and clean. So I've still got a bit of yellow on this one from the last thing I've done. So this is where you can use your kitchen roll to give it a really good clean. And when it's clear water, then you know it's clean, but it's still coming out a bit yellow. Because otherwise it will change the colour that you're going to paint with. And that's my biggest tip that you can have, is always make sure between colours you wash your brush really well. Otherwise it just turns all brown and muddy, and that's not great, is it, Bella? Nah. Okay, so we're going to use blue first. Bella's going to be using the blue like here. And I'm just going to show you how she's going to use hers.
This one or this one?
Whichever you like. So the key thing with the palette paint, that one, maybe that one, okay, is to put lots of water on it, like that. That's it. And then Bella's going to put it onto her paper. And she's spreading it out like that. And you just move your hand for a moment. There you go, so you can see. So it's quite see-through, almost like the sky. Where when I use the acrylic, or if you use poster paint, it'll be a lot thicker in colour. So if you're using palette paints today, you can carry on now with your blue sky, like Bella. If you're going to use acrylic, like me today, or poster paint, I'm going to get started now. So I'm going to get my brush, make sure it's clean. I'm going to add a little bit of water so it spreads out. So dip it in the paint, like that. And you can see straight away it's a lot more vibrant, darker colour than Bella's, isn't it? And that's what we want with acrylic. So we're just going to use strokes in one direction. go. And all the way around. Now what I tend to do is use a big brush when you're doing the big bits, but leave a gap around all the detail, because the detail is really hard to do with a big brush. Okay, so can you see I'm trying to go in one direction rather than wiggling it around everywhere, because with acrylic you will see the marks of your paintbrush. A bit more water. If it starts to get a bit sticky, just add a little bit more water. There we go. Now acrylic doesn't come out of your clothes, so if you are using acrylic today, make sure you're wearing old clothes like me. Most of my clothes are coloured with acrylic paint at some point, aren't they? Okay. There we keep going all the way around. Now if you want to, at some point, the acrylic dries very, very quickly. So if you want to mix any other colours into it, so for example, a bit of white to make a cloud or a darker blue, you need to do it while it's still wet. Otherwise you'll just paint a big lump of white on top. So I'm going to show you that here in the top. Put a tiny bit of white on my brush. I'm going to mix it with a bit of blue so it's not too vibrant. And we're going to do a little cloud. So remember, all in the same direction. The brush marks it in the same direction there. Create a little cloud here. Now sometimes with acrylics you need to do a few coats as well. More than one coat, a bit like when you're painting walls at home. Or your mum and dad are painting walls. Like that. Okay, how are we getting on? There's some tricky bits around these bits here, so I'm just going to paint, move you over a bit, paint where I can, and then I'm going to get a smaller brush in a minute to do the detail. How you all doing? Okay, I think I'm nearly done. How are you getting on, Bella? Do you want to show everyone what you've done so far? If you bring your picture a little bit closer. So I've nearly done the kind of main bits, and I'm going to get my thinner brush for the detail. Brilliant, well done. And how have you found doing the detail, Bella? You have to use a smaller brush for your bit?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to swap for a smaller brush now. So one a bit like this, if you can see. Like that. And I do need a little bit more blue as well. So I'm going to get some more blue. Got loads on my hands. I've always covered in paint. So let's add a little bit more blue. And then we can go into the detail. It's a lot easier, isn't it, with a smaller brush to do the detail. Okay. So just keep going around all the different little parts. I mean, this is going to take a little while, isn't it? So what we'll probably do is I'll do around the mushroom and the fairy, and then I'll show you what to do next, and then you can go off and finish your painting and post your pictures later. So all the way around. Like that. All those different pieces. Remember to add some more water if it gets a bit sticky. Same if you've got palette paint, to add more water if you need it. Let's go around this mushroom here. How are we going, everyone? It's tricky today, isn't it? This is the first one I've done painting, so I was like not sure if it was going to take too long or not. So we'll see how we get on today. I might maybe not put as much detail in mine, just so I can show you the different stages. Okay, let's go around the rest of the fairy and then I'll show you the next bit. Has anyone finished the sky yet? Are you beating me and Bella? Okay, around the fairy. And be careful of her hair where she's got wobbly bits. Oh, yours is looking nice, Bella, lovely. Very magical sort of theme today, isn't it? I wonder what our fairy's name would be. What would yours be called, Bella? I think mine's some sort of bell, like a Tinkerbell or Clarabelle, maybe. Like you guys, have you got a name for your fairies and your trolls?
Or you could call it Bella.
You could call it Bella. You've got a book about Bella the fairy, haven't you?
Yeah.
That can't fly, something like that.
Yeah.
Bella the Brave, is it? Bella the Brave Fairy. Okay, right, I'm going to just do this last little bit and then I'm going to show you how to do, I know I've not quite finished all the other bits, but what I might do today, just so we don't take hours and hours painting, is I'll show you how to do the mushroom, and then what I'm going to do is a time lapse of me and Bella doing our painting, and put that on my Facebook page as well, and then you can show me how you got on with your paintings. I'd love to see your artwork as well. So I'm just going to finish off this last little bit around this mushroom, and then we're going to go into the red.